Good afternoon. Welcome to this webinar by CRACY. Today, this is a second webinar that we do, basically with a little bit of postponement from last week. And apologies for those of you who were aiming to participate, but then finally it got a bit messed up because of one of the speakers that basically fell sick just in the morning. So today's session is basically about essential requirements in this afternoon. We had another session this morning about specifically SME cybersecurity implementation guidelines, more the practical considerations for SMEs when it comes to implementing the CRA. So my name is Ulrich Selsax, and I'm being assisted here today by my colleague Hector Ibanez. Both of us participating in the CRACY project, and the CRACY project in this case is really what is also the one that is supporting you in understanding what CRA is really all about. This being really session 1, following up on the session 2 of this morning. And so essential requirements, what does it mean? It's today's really about the legislation in itself. The legislation of the Cyber Resilience Act, which was basically launched in December 2024, where basically the Cyber Resilience Act is there to support the cybersecurity industry at large, and then specifically the European cybersecurity domain, to make sure that products with digital elements, as they are being called, will become secure and securely available in the European market. We have our full website on this, as you have discovered, because this is also a location where you subscribe yourself into, which is called, in this case, Cyber Resilience Act Made CRACY. Made easy, as in that is the reason why CRACY is called CRACY, CRA Made Easy. So today, CRACY is in a collaboration of 11 top technology companies from out of Europe. An interesting collaboration whereby we really facilitate the support of the deployment of the CRA in Europe, and also supported in this case by the European Commission through the ECCC, which is partially funding the activities of CRACY to put the support of the CRA in the market in Europe. What is that we can offer through CRACY are a couple of things. On the first place, we can support you and basically your PDEs in the next 12 months, more or less, to see how your products might need to be further enabled security elements, based upon an assessment and an evaluation that needs to be done to see whether your products, in this case, would fall under the CRA and under which categories. Secondly, there are a number of tools that we can provide that facilitate not only the security, but also the part of the assessments. And thirdly, there are also a series of additional documents and white papers and guidance that can help you in figuring out what it is that you would need to be able to do yourself. Or we can guide you through this whole process as a series of organizations, some advisory with some additional support, and also with some additional assessments of your toolings to facilitate those products that you would have available. That means that we are focusing really on security technologies for products with digital elements. And these security technologies is basically what the CRA is asking for, that those would be put inside of the PDEs. And then the other part of the CRA is mainly about how to assess whether those different security technologies are in there. And that is also mainly what the essential requirements listing is all about. So those are 27 essential requirements that we will be detailing in the next 45 minutes. The final part of it is that you have to be able to prove that you have been doing these security enhancements, and also that you have gone through the assessment yourself, and being able to also prove that that you have done the assessments, and that the products that you're putting into the European market are effectively also cyber secure. So in short, CRACY as a project, as an activity, is about making the Cyber Resilience Act a bit more easy to understand better, but also to give some guidance on what the legislation is saying and to transpose it into practical advice and comments, as in this was part of the webinar that we did this morning. It says 11, but there's a 12th partner being added, but the 12 partners will be delivering, in this case, both security tools, white papers, and providing both compliance and assessment tools as well, and then providing some additional use cases based upon also the cases that we have maybe together with you to facilitate those into Europe and to showcase where basically manufacturers, distributors, and potentially other economic operators such as importers have activities in this domain where they need support and where also they need to make changes internally within their organization to make sure that their products are relying upon this domain. So 12 partners, some partners more from the technology domain, partners which have specifically a lot of experience when it comes to assessing products and technologies, that have been doing that for the last couple of decades. A company like Resilient, who has been doing product assessments both in the physical appliances domain as well as in software types of products. We have partners like Toreon, and in this case also two university partners, VUB and ID Lab, that are there that provide some additional guidance when it comes to software security and assessments. And then we have other partners like Timex, which will be there more to guide us towards the understanding of the technical requirements from the legal perspective, and basically helping us to transpose those into cybersecurity technical requirements. And we have partners like the NCC Romania, there to support us in the relationship with the other member states NCCs, but also the market surveillance authorities and other governmental partners, which are there to basically deploy, in this case, the CRA, as this is an exercise also to support the policy making from the European Commission. And then partners like Positium, No Codex, Jimber, and CU, technology partners with some additional cybersecurity expertise that will be able to guide you through some of the challenges related to the deployment of the CRA with some specific tooling, like in the case of Codex, and No Codex, and a platform that helps with the registration of the products and making sure that the different compliance requirements are being met and can also be followed through. And then ourselves as LSEC, we are an association of cybersecurity companies, and we work together as coordinators here in this project to ensure that the pickup of the CRA is being made throughout Europe with those different partners that we have here, and also in relation to the SMEs that we are closely working with. So many different partners with a lot of additional keys that we can bring to the table. So why do we do this? Well, in any case, the European market is digitizing, and we need more digitization in any case, but because of the different digital implementations, there's also a requirement of making sure that those digital technologies are especially also much more secure. And if they are not secure, then it becomes really a challenge and sometimes also a disruption for business to happen. And so therefore we need more resilience in order to make sure that there is no disruption. And so if the products that we are implementing into our enterprises and into our own homes can be made more secure, therefore they can also be made more resilient. That means that then as a result, also the European society as a whole becomes also much more resilient. So for us, it's really about supporting the implementation, in this case, of the Cyber Resilience Act, which is really focusing on those products, both appliances, so physical products, as well as software products, to become much more secure and to also be able to prove that, and so therefore the cyber resilience improvements. So we are there today as CRACY to support SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, as in manufacturers of PDEs, to facilitate the security and the compliance assessments of their products, while focusing on practical implementations, as in tools and methods that can really simplify this activity. So we have this whole agenda of different webinars today and in the next coming weeks, whereby we will be going much more in depth on the different topics in relation to the CRA. So today's second topic is about Essential Requirements Translation. And those essential requirements are really part of the appendix of the CRA in itself, defining what really needs to be done when it comes to cybersecurity, and should also be considered, of course, as something that is evolving in time. So those essential requirements which are there today might change, of course, over time, when there will be other cybersecurity requirements that might be popping up. In the next coming sessions, we will be focusing more on some of the toolings, some of the other documentation and white papers that we have been developing. And so it therefore also follows with some specific guidance towards SMEs, whereby we are giving some concrete implementation measures of things to do, and which was the session of this morning, which can actually also already be consulted over the CRACY website as of today. And so therefore you can pick it up easily on which are the first things that you would need to do. But this session, the Essential Requirements Translation and the one on the product implementation guidelines are really going hand in hand. So the two should be considered to be watched. And of course, you can visit the CRACY website to figure out some of the other ones that we are planning to do. So a couple of small notes, as I also mentioned this morning. This is really the reason why we are doing this and why the Cyber Resilience Act exists. So all of these are products of general consumer electronics. Could be air fryers, could be door locks, could be children's toys, could be adult toys, or could be things like cloud pets, children's toys which have been all connected to the internet in one or another way, and which all experienced some form of a cybersecurity incident over the last couple of years. So meaning that there have been notices of potential vulnerabilities that were known, that have been exploited, and therefore either put some personal data from customers online, or basically externals were able to hack into those tools. Doors could be opened, or fryers are being used, or video cameras are being used to spy upon us. But if you take this into a business environment, then you can see also since the last couple of months, a number of those enterprise security products, which are in this case to be considered as Class 1 and Class 2 products under the Cyber Resilience Act, and which therefore also fall under the specific category of additional security requirements that are needed. And as you can see also here from some of the most well-known brand names in cybersecurity domain, even there, sometimes products are not yet fully living up the expectations when it comes to cybersecurity of those products, because it is simply also very hard to secure those products. And so therefore, the European Commission came out with these essential requirements that companies, in this case, providers and vendors of those devices will need to come up with. So again, both appliances as well as software. So whether this Fortinet firewall is now an appliance or it's a piece of software, both are considered as products with digital elements. And then finally, but definitely not least, are a series of cybersecurity incidents that have taken place as a result of also vulnerabilities being discovered in those electronics which are being placed into critical environments. And so also here, of course, these technologies need to be much more secured, and therefore as well, cybersecurity in terms of the Cyber Resilience Act are requiring much more of additional requirements, additional security requirements in this case, that need to be applied. And so therefore, the essential requirements which are needed. So more of this you can read in the different white papers that we will bring out later on this week. And many of the setups that we have been describing will be able to be applied there. So as a final note here, the note is whether or not your product is a PDE. You can simply check by going to pde.cracy.eu, and you will see this wizard popping up, which is asking you if the Cyber Resilience Act is actually also applying to your product, being it, again, an appliance or a piece of software. And so once you start doing a short assessment with a couple of questions, you will get the result, whether it's a confirmed PDE and whether the CRA applies, which you will need as additional documentation for the next steps to take in place. If it's not considered as a PDE, you will also get a document, basically a PDF, confirming that you have done the assessment and that you can basically go on without the necessary requirements for the CRA. But maybe it falls under another scope, and then, of course, other requirements will have to be taken into consideration. So with this, Hector, I'm happy to leave it over to you to explain us more in detail on what the essential requirements are all about. And so to basically also help us understand what the CRA is really demanding us to do, requiring us to do, and basically also specifying what things maybe also not to do. Hector, take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ulrich. As Ulrich has just shared today, the topic of the day is Essential Requirements Translation. What does this mean? What is all this Essential Requirements Translation thing is all about? Well, you will be aware that CRA has an Annex 1, that contains some of the different requirements that are expected from you as a PDE manufacturer, importer, distributor to comply with. But one of the main challenges is that CRA tries to be very agnostic when it comes to the technical requirements. In contrast, it usually uses a high-level language that might be more suited to lawyers than to technical teams. What we have aimed to do with CRACY, some of the initial efforts of the project, is to translate these requirements into a language that is understandable both from the management part, but also from the technical side, while also keeping it sound and accurate from the legal standpoint. This is what we are going to see today. We are going to check what these requirements mean in practice, also how these essential requirements that are 25 different essential requirements mean in practice. We will also briefly touch upon the vulnerability handling requirements. So we will see that the essential requirements, they focus more on what you need to do before putting the product in the market. So that is what comes to the design phase. But then the vulnerability handling focuses on the processes that you must need to put in place when you have the product already in the market, in order to ensure that you will be able to handle vulnerabilities if they do arise, or to try to keep the vulnerabilities at bay. And then we will also see what are the documentary requirements that stem out of all these different, on the one hand, essential requirements, and on the other, vulnerability handling requirements. We will also provide some practical examples and also some tips on how the management can oversee compliance, and what we believe from CRACY are some different tools or solutions that you can use in order to streamline CRA compliance. We will see later on, and we have seen before, that how can CRACY help? Well, of course, through the different webinars that we are launching into the world for you to understand better CRA, also with some of the compliance tools that we are developing. And in any case, all these efforts, they follow the same mission, that is making CRA easier or keener on the European SMEs and helping them become CRA compliant by December 2027. But as we will see, some of the deadlines come earlier than December 2027. So why the legal text, why CRA itself fails in engineering teams, or why is it disconnected with the engineering reality? Well, if some of you for sure have taken a look at CRA, have read the legal text, have gone through Annex 1, what you will realize is that for technical teams, it can be frustrating because CRA talks in terms of liability, scope, risk. Developers, they cannot code or fix liability. They need to have some technical rules, some acceptance criteria, some sprint tasks. And what we are going to see here is how, with this translation, the development teams, the technical teams, but also the legal teams, they can have a more granular approach into implementing CRA. This is why we are here today. We are going to translate these different obligations and provide you with some guidance into what are the different methodologies or what are the internal processes that you need to implement in order to become CRA compliant. So what is the cost of misinterpretation? Well, we have two extremes, and both extremes will most likely come to reality in these upcoming years. The first risk that we are facing, or the first cost that we are facing, is over-engineering. This means that, okay, I'm an SME. I might be paralyzed by the legal test, by the vagueness of the legal test. So I over-engineer it. I take my teams. I invest a lot in developing complex security features for a product that might be of a lower risk compared to what the measures that are being implemented require. So in this sense, here, I need to understand first what type of category I'm in the scope of CRA. And maybe I have some measures that I can implement, and the measures will not be the same for a weather sensor compared to a hyperscaler. So this needs to be understood. Then also, we have the other extreme. The other extreme is, okay, I'm completely unaware of what CRA is. I missed the incident reporting deadline. So yeah, I'm not even aware that by September 11th, I have some responsibility when it comes to reporting vulnerabilities, but whatever. September, October, November 2027 arrives, and then, okay, suddenly I have 1 month in order to do everything and become CRA compliant. Otherwise, my product can get taken out of the market. And here, what can happen is that a last-minute panic arrives. So I ignore the text. Now I face a chaotic, expensive process, and a stressful process in order to become CRA compliant. And most likely, as we will see, CRA compliance comes from before even the teams, for example, start to develop some of the code or write up the documentation that will be needed by the auditor, and also will be needed in case that you want to ensure that your product is secure by design. So in this sense, both extremes, over-engineering it or last-minute panic, ignoring it up until the last minute, you should forget about them. But you also need to keep in mind that these things can happen. So what is the solution? Okay, we start now. We still have 1.5 years plus up until CRA becomes fully enforceable. We still have half a year for the deadlines for incident reporting and vulnerability handling. So, okay, we have time. Now we need to understand this translation. We need to understand how it aligns with the goals of our company, and how I can turn compliance into predictable, easy workflow. So as our timeless colleagues like to say, we are going to demystify Annex 1 today. 2 pillars and a third one, but let's say that the 2 pillars are the security requirements, as we call them, the essential requirements. These are requirements that focus on the state of the product, the design of the product. So what the product must be when you ship it to your consumers. So here we have security by design, encrypted, access control, and the other pillar is the vulnerability handling processes. So focusing on processes that you need to put in place when the product ships. So this is what you will do over the lifetime cycle of your product. Then there is a third pillar, or a pillar that is horizontal to both of them. That is the documentation requirements. We have 13 documentation requirements that you also need to take into account, and we also briefly touch upon them. But first, we will focus on the first part, on the security requirements. What is the first essential requirement of CRA as per Annex 1? Well, as you can imagine, security by design. So the legal text, the legal requirement is that you must design and develop and produce a product with digital elements with an appropriate level of cybersecurity based on the risks. So, okay, what does this mean in technical terms? So the translation for the engineering teams, the technical translation, would be that, okay, you need to perform and document a risk assessment. You need to implement a secure software development cycle. You need to automate as much as possible in your continuous improvement and continuous development pipeline. You must identify threats to security features. So, for example, brute force attack, what can be the translated feature? So implement account lockout after 5 attempts, for example. And you also need traceability. You need proof for the auditor down the line. So what is your proof? What is your traceability, your trace? So your architecture diagrams, your threat models. This is also the evidence for the auditor. Also, verify best practices in secure development lifecycle. So ISO 20000 series, 20034, for example, come to mind. These are some of the things that, from a technical point of view, you need to understand and you need to implement if you want to comply with the first essential requirement as per CRA Annex 1. The second essential requirement is that there are no known vulnerabilities in your shipped product. So here, this basically represents culture shift. So the legal text says that you must take the PDE available. You must make the PDE available without any known exploitable vulnerabilities. This means the end of the sip and patch culture. That is, you cannot make the product available if it has any exploitable vulnerabilities. The old move fast, break things vision philosophy needs to come to an end. So you need to ensure that the PDE is updated, is up to the newest available firmware software version prior to the setup. And you need to test that the different security properties are functioning correctly. So again, as some advice, as we will see, shift left. So better thing that you can do is that clean up your supply chain before release. So verify that there are no known exploits. Your team needs to check them, and in case that they are, fix them before your device is shipped to the customer. Other essential requirement that we have is the secure default configuration, the secure by default. So in this case, the legal text states that you need to make the PDE available with a secure by default configuration out of the box, unless otherwise agreed with the manufacturer. What should you do? So basically, you need to define first what a secure configuration entails for the PDE. Also, what you need to do is that you need to implement the different measures, concrete technical measures, in order to to ensure that the secure configuration by default is automatically achieved just by the upon deployment of the product. And indeed, you need to change the mindset that maybe, for example, user experience team might complain that forcing a change of password first out of the box creates some friction. Forget about that. Forget about admin passwords. So from an engineering perspective, ensure that this is strictly maintained, even when the PDE is factory reset or completely reinstalled. So secure default configuration over some potential user experience friction of I need to change the password whenever it arrives. You need to do that. Other essential requirements that are related, 4 and 24. 4 is on secure on factory reset, resetting to original state, and 24 on secure deletion. So in this case, the legal requirement is that you need to include the possibility to reset the PDE to its original state and provide the users with the ability to remove all data and settings securely. From a technical standpoint, for your engineering, your technical teams, what this means is that these requirements mandate a clean break. So basically, their data must not go with a product in case that the customer sells or returns the product. Wiping all data, both from the device and also for the cloud, don't forget the cloud, need to be an accessible feature. An easy mechanism that allows the user to delete everything, including again from the cloud, as you will most likely have some remote data processing solution into place and maybe a cloud dashboard with the data that your product is sensing. This mechanism must also allow to the deletion of this data. Then we are bundling here some other essential requirements from 5 to 6. This focus on security updates, automatic security updates, non-exploitable vulnerabilities, again, security updates. So here, the legal requirement is that the vulnerabilities can be addressed through security updates. So not only you put into the market the product with no known vulnerabilities, but also that the product, the vulnerabilities that might arise, they can be addressed after the product is shipped, and preferably in an automatic way. Also, you can allow users to temporarily postpone them, but again, there should be mechanisms to remind them that they need to patch or install it after an appropriate time frame. So it should be automatic by default. This is stated in Essential Requirement 7. You can also provide an easy way to opt out for disabling automatic security updates. This is also included in the Essential Requirements. And also, you need to provide transparency when it comes to the failures. So basically, if an update is available because you have identified that your PDE needs to be patched, you need to notify them, and also the specific reasons. If an update fails to install, why is that the case that an update cannot be installed? So this is also included within the essential requirements of security updates and known exploitabilities between essential requirements 5 and 6. Then we have a couple of essential requirements on access control. Here, the text, the legal text, states that you, as a PDE manufacturer, must ensure the protection from unauthorized access through control mechanisms, and also report potential breaches that consist of unauthorized access. What can you do here from a technical standpoint? What processes can you implement? So basically, ensure that your PDE does not use default password, again, admin, for example, or that generated secrets are complex enough in order for them not to be brute force. Also to be taken into account. Ensure that authenticated data is never sent as clear text, rather encrypted. You need also to take this into account. And again, report to the user when an authorized access attempt has took place. You need also to implement this under Essential Requirements 10 and 11. Basically, you must govern who gets in, also block automated attacks proactively, and if someone tries to break in, sound the alarm to the user of your PDE. Now, Essential Requirements 12 to 16, they focus on the CI triad. So 12 is on confidentiality, 13 on integrity, 14 also on integrity, and 15 and 16 on availability and data minimization. So for confidentiality, the legal text states for the three of them that you as a PDE manufacturer or economic operator, you must protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of all data stored, transmitted, processed, and essential functions. For the confidentiality one, what you should do is that you should, the PDE should be able to store or communicate personal data, and also to securely store the data. Here, take in mind best practice cryptography, encryption, appropriate to the risks of your product. Regarding integrity, what you must implement is that you should ensure that the PDE can verify its own integrity. Also ensure that it uses cryptography to ensure the integrity, and that it can preserve its own integrity during normal operation, just by handling security system resources in an ordered manner. And for Essential Requirement 16, this is the availability of data, of essential data and basic functions. Ensure that the PDE can operate with default configuration and is able to resume secure operation after a temporary interruption. And also that ensure that the PDE maintains the core functionality even without the remote processing data solution. So that is for availability. These are some of the requirements for you to take into account in order to check the legal requirement under Annex 1. Quickly jumping into 15 and 17 and 19, these essential requirements focus on data minimization. Here, the legal text states that you as a PDE manufacturer should also process data that is adequate and relevant, the minimum amount of data, and minimize any potential negative impact that the data treatment can cause. So in this sense, strictly limit the data collection. Also ensure that the PDE handles network resources in an ordered manner, let's say with its intended purpose and reasonable foreseeable use. Also ensure that the PDE communicates with other products in an ordered fashion, and that it can react to errors of other products, and ensure that the protocols and interfaces used are sufficiently documented for its use, and that the integrators know how to use the different protocols safely. Essential Requirement 20 is on limiting attack surfaces. So this goes again left to the design and development phase. Here you need to produce a product with with the PDE with limited attack surface, also including the external interfaces that it might plug into. In this sense, what are the implications from an engineering standpoint? What are the implications for your development technical teams? So basically, if a feature, a port, service is not strictly necessary, it should be turned off before shipping. So ensure that the PDE deactivates any interface, any service that is not required for usage by default, and then allow for automatic security updates of the PDE. This is connected with some of the previous essential requirements that we have seen, but you also need to take this into account, and also debug interfaces with network access only activable by highly authorized users or administrators. Other essential requirements that you might take into account, 22 and 23 on logging and monitoring. Here, the text indicates that you need to provide security information, recording, monitoring of relevant internal activity, also access to or modification of the data, the services, the functions. What is the translation? Well, when a breach happens, your users need to know, and you, how it happened. Also, you need to down the line report it as early as 11th of September 2026. So your product must keep an automatic diary of security event, an automatic record of security event. How does this function? Well, ensure that the PDE is able to record all data, also that the recorded data cannot be used to facilitate an incident itself, and that the recording and monitoring is resilient against some type of disruptions or problems that come from recording and monitoring itself of this relevant data that might not have an impact to the functionality of the PDE. This mechanism must be active, but this logging mechanism must be active by default, and also again ensure that the authorized user can deactivate and reactivate the recording and monitoring activities, even if by default it must come active. We have other essential requirements like 21, mitigation of incidents, that here you need to ensure that the PDE is operating with the least necessary privileges by default, similar to the essential requirements on integrity. Also, we have essential requirements on transfer of data, basically related to the CRA requirements 12, 13, 14, that data can be transferred in a secure way. Some of these, as you can see, some of these requirements, they are entangled one with another, but these, as we have seen, are the 25 requirements. Some of them, they have been bundled into similar categories, but these are the 25 essential requirements that come from the design phase. So for them to be taken into account in the product that you are shipping. And now we will go quickly through the vulnerability handling requirements. So, okay, now we have a product that is secure by design. We ship the product with all the different requirements taken into account. But now what we need to do is that, what we need to understand is that vulnerability handling comes at the forefront of CRA. This is no longer, let's say, a customer support type of function. Rather, this goes embedded into your product, and this goes embedded into your life cycle. You need to implement active monitoring. You need to implement structured testing. You need to be publicly transparent. You are now legally required to map your interdependencies. As we will see, you need to hunt for the flaws that might be in your product or in the digital elements that compose your product. And if something is found, you need to report it. You need to report it. You need to assess it, you need to patch it, and you need to deploy the fix without undue delay. These are what the requirements under vulnerability handling are all about. The first and second vulnerability handling requirements are the SBOM mandate. So us in Europe starting to get a bit accustomed and familiar with SBOMs. In the US, ever since Executive Order 14.028 passed back in 2021, it has been common practice that if you want to incur in procurement procedures, procurement contracts with the federal government, you need to have SBOMs in place. You need to manage your vulnerabilities through SBOMs. You need to map the different digital elements of your products through a software bill of materials. And this again comes into the forefront thanks to CRA vulnerability handling requirements. The legal requirement is that you need to identify and document vulnerabilities, and that you need to identify the components containing PDEs by drawing an SBOM in basically what the CRA says in a commonly used and machine-readable format. So an SBOM, and the engineering translation, the translation for your technical teams would be that, okay, you cannot secure what you do not know or what you do not measure. If you are keeping some of these things under a spreadsheet updated once a year, that's a complete fail. Even if you are using an SBOM and then throwing it into your wardrobe or a corner in your office and forgetting about it for 2 years, that's also not acceptable. Here, you need to leverage SBOMs. You need also to leverage hardware bills of material formats. For SBOMs, SPDX, Cyclone DX, some of the most common formats that are available. We are also from CRACY, as we will see, developing several tools on SBOM management. But you need to automate this, and when a flaw is found, you must document it and also the specific impact. Keeping in mind that you need to match this component against global vulnerability databases, CVE, ENISA database, again, for you to take into account. Also, very briefly, not to take too long, another vulnerability handling requirement: regular security testing, pen testing, performing effective regular tests. So here, you must implement repeatable process to test whether your PDE security properties are implemented or not. In the webinar that we had this morning, Ulrich explained that from the month 6, 12 onwards, you need to regularly pen test your products, and if you don't test, justify what you are not testing. In any case, ensure that the assessment criteria is sufficiently functional, and if no assessment is performed, why is this the case? Because you are legally required to provide the documentation in case that the auditor requires it. Other vulnerability handling requirements for you to consider: setting up the intake of vulnerabilities and also coordinated vulnerability disclosure. Here, you need to make your contact details available, potentially, for example, under your website, to allow for the notification of vulnerabilities, establish clear communication channels, implement processes for handling these vulnerabilities, and also ensure that the reporters that disclose the vulnerabilities to you in good faith, they can be legally, policy, procedurally protected against any type of potential liability. Other vulnerability handling requirements: remediation, security advisories. So in this case, you need to remediate the vulnerabilities without due delay. Also, publish machine-readable information about the fixed vulnerabilities. Let's say that finding a bug is not getting the job done. Also, you must assess it based on its risk level. Tell your users proactively what has happened. Document it clearly. Indicate whether this vulnerability has been exploited or not in the wild, and issue a public security advisory about the impact, severity, accessible steps in order for your customers to be able to remediate the vulnerability. And last, under vulnerability handling, secure updates, you must have a mechanism in place in order to ensure that security updates are disseminated without undue delay. What does this mean? So you must verify whether the update mechanism itself can be exploited by malicious actors. Also, you must provide a mechanism in order to disseminate these updates that would help you verify whether you have a secure pipeline in order to deliver these fixes or not. This should be taken into account. And now, very briefly, as the main goal of the webinar was on technical on essential requirements, but after briefly going through the vulnerability handling requirements, also be aware of the documentation requirements. So don't think of them as a thick binder, a folder, or a Word file with 400-page content. Rather, automate as much as you can. So, of course, document the processes, establish living risk matrices that should be updated, evidence the different testing, but keep in mind that your CE/CD tests, your logs, your tickets can be valid compliance artifacts. So, as we will see, automate as much as you can. Some documentation requirements, 1, 6, 7, draft technical documentation containing intended purpose, components, compliance tools. So here, describe the intended purpose of the PDE, ensure that the SBOM that you create is directly included into the technical documentation. The SBOM is part of the documentation, and clearly document in case that there are any standards, specifications, certification schemes that you applied, you need to document them. Other requirements from 8 to 12, this focus more on user guidance, unique identifiers, intended purpose, instructions. So here, again, document intended purpose, any reasonable foreseeable use of the product, ensure that the user documentation also contains the support period of the PDE. This is relevant, and what type of technical security will be offered. Also, ensure that the documentation, for example, contains the detailed information on necessary measures during the initial phase, and how can user data be removed in case of decommissioning. This should also be stated in your documentation requirements. Some common pitfalls for the SMEs. Don't approach the CRA as a legal challenge, as even some compliance effort, rather as a potential transformation for your engineering efforts, from your design, from your development efforts, and try to leverage it as a competitive advantage. So some mistakes that we can encounter, treating these security requirements as a one-page checklist. Then, for example, I map all my components and dependencies into an SBOM and forget about the SBOM. Don't do that. Leverage tools, automated tools, such as the CRACY developed ones, in order to have your SBOM updated and for all the dependencies to be automatically tracked. Also, assuming that because I use open source code, is secure, not necessarily you are liable. You are less responsible for the vulnerabilities in your dependencies. So again, keep that in mind. And also, writing manuals, conducting risk assessments, you need to update them. If, again, you throw them into a lonely corner and forget about them, that will, down the line, cost you more than what updating them can bring to the table. Some practical examples for you to take into account. Let's take Essential Requirement 3, Secure by Default. for your technical teams, what could be an example? So as an sprint task, well, force your user to change the factory password upon initial boot. So that could be the practical measure for your sprint task. In the case of SBOMs, for example, under vulnerability handling 2 requirement, so integrate the dependency tracking tool into your pipeline, your CI/CD pipeline, and automatically generate a SPDX or a CycloneDX file every time that you conduct a successful build. Some examples on how to translate this into the native language of your technical teams or the processes, the day-to-day processes that you might fall into. And for managers, what you should take into account? Well, maybe the metrics. So, of course, if you're a manager, don't feel taken aback by CRA. In this case, you don't need to read the source code. That would be the, let's say, the responsibility of your technical teams. You don't need to understand the cryptography that goes into a secure by design product, but you need to track things right. So, for example, if we take Essential Requirement 2, no non-exploitable vulnerabilities. So what can be the metric that you should implement as a manager? How many high or how many critical vulnerabilities are open in your issue tracker right now of our PTE? Or for vulnerability handling 5 regular testing, what percentage of our code base, your code base, is covered by automated security scans? Try for it to be as much as possible. As a brief summary of translation of essential requirements, so start early, start now, seek for help, as we will see, of the CRACY guidance tools and upcoming compliance, and shift left. So go into it, but before development begins. Of course, if development is already on the way or fully implemented, as in some cases, we can still fix it. We can still implement the different essential requirements, but by shifting left, you will be able to, in parallel, hand by hand, comply with CRA and develop your products in a secure way. Also, automate everything, or as much as possible, from SBOMs to security logging to secure updates. Manual compliance does not scale, so you need to be aware that try to make this as automated as possible while keeping a secure posture, while keeping a secure threshold on the different processes. And again, documentation is just a byproduct of good engineering processes. Don't be documentation as a burden, rather implement the different processes, automate as much as it, and the automated documentation will come hand by hand with it. So before ending the presentation, very briefly, be aware that what we have seen today, you will see in following webinars that within CRACY, we are developing different tools for secure, for compliance, in order for you to be able to become CRA compliant and develop secure by design PDEs. Some of these are, for example, CRACY SASE, which is a security as a service platform developed in order to support and connect PDEs to the platform. Also, SBOM, software composition analysis, InfraMapper, in this case, as a software composition analysis to enhance SBOMs. In this case, we're already on our way to a first version that improves the precision of SBOMs, and then we will update it to also be able to handle Ansible type of scripts. That means infrastructure as a code scripts by early 2027. Also for container traceability of PDEs, CRACY Repo, which is a platform that integrates some of these tools into a single dashboard. Here you can see this is a spider chart that tells you how far away are you from CRA compliance. This is again also in the makings, and you will be able to access and freely use this tool. SBOM deployment, also consumption, SBOM vulnerability tools, also SCA scanners for Shift, gripe, SBOM tools also for dependable, for dependencies. And briefly, be aware that everything that we have seen today, you might be also interested, and you might also be aware that up until the last week of March, there is a funding opportunity available under Secure Project. You will be able to fund up until 30,000 euros on a 50% co-funding basis. That is up to 60,000 euros in costs, out of which 30,000 euro can be funded through a grant for the secure open call, secure financial support to third parties open call. The secure call is currently open, and if you go there and you apply and you are interested in applying to the secure call because you want to become CRA compliant and you want half of your cost to be covered, in the case that you use CRACY tooling in order, for example, to understand whether you are in or out of the scope of CRA, or you go through the different CRACY guides. For example, the CRACY Essential Requirements that we have seen today is available in our website. And if you indicate this in the secure proposal, you will get additional points. So the process would be, now I am aware of the different CRACY tools. I have a better understanding of what is CRA and how I can implement the CRA-related measures that need to be put in place in order for me to become CRA compliant. I draft my plan, I apply to secure, and I indicate that I have access, I have digested, consumed some of the CRACY content, and that has helped me in order to prepare the proposal. You will get additional points, an opportunity for you to take into account. Here we leave you the link of Secure. Also, what could be some of the placeholders, the text that you could include. This project is using CRACY tools, methodologies, the ones on essential requirements, documentation requirements, even, for example, the implementation guidelines that Ulrich has presented this morning. The recording will be available in our website. As Ulrich has said, feel free to go through them. Yeah, very briefly, in order to end with the webinar, under another project that from LSEC we are coordinating, KISD, we are also running an open call, aiming in this case for pen testers and cybersecurity expert organizations. Under KISD, the open call will be opening on the 28th of April. In this case, we are looking to fund pen testing and vulnerability assessments that will be deployed in essential and important entities all across the EU. We have already run our first open call. We'll be running, in this case, the second pen testing open call, third open call of the project. Feel free and feel more than invited to go through the website of KISD in order to understand the open call. And tomorrow at 10, we will be having a webinar to present the KISD open call. Again, we will welcome you there and explain this opportunity, provided that under KISD open call, also CRA might be a topic, and that, as we have seen, some CRA requirements are also related to pen testing. For you to be able to pen test your PDEs regularly, it can be a very good marriage, a very good match between CRACY and KISD. So also take this opportunity into account. Lastly, get in touch. Don't go it alone. We are here to help you. We are running a different set of use cases and providing support to PDEs in order for them to understand what are the different gaps and remediation paths that they need to undertake in order to become compliant with CRA. So if you are also interested to get support from the CRACY consortium in securing your PDEs, in identifying risks, in handling vulnerabilities, or in navigating CRA, feel free to contact us at our email info@cracy.eu or call us.
Thank you very much, Hector. Great job. Maybe a couple of small notes. So for those of you who are not directly able to apply for the CRACY funding, you can definitely also reach out to the projects that have been selected under the Open Call 2 or potentially afterwards in Open Call 3, because they will be there to help you doing the assessments and the pen testing for your PDEs, and therefore probably able to help you with identifying risks, with identifying potential vulnerabilities and security gaps that might be needed for your specific PDE. So because they are actually being funded to do this directly. And also just remind you about the fact that we have some additional webinars coming up. There is one on the 18th March, specifically on risk assessments. A couple of days later on conformity assessments preparation, and towards the cloud connected PDEs to a large extent as well. And then in about a month's time from here, because it's not yet entirely clear how this is going to run, so we take a little bit of time, is on the 13th of April on the PDE vulnerability reporting, as we were also talking about both in essential requirements and in the cybersecurity implementation of this morning. So do schedule those in and do register, and we'll be happy to provide you with some more guidance on all of this. For the rest, again, Hector, thank you very much for stepping in here. Good job, well done. And hopefully also for the participants here, if there's some things that you might not have completely catch and you want to replay, you can visit this webinar later on today or tomorrow, as of tomorrow, from the YouTube channel that we have, and of course to the CRACY website. Any final words, Hector?
I mean, encourage everyone to go through the different contents. We are also soon publishing different white papers, not only on the essential requirements, for example, but also on the different implementations, on cloud, on security updates, on some different topics that are very related to CRA. And they are a great way to start delving into the regulation, and also for the SMEs not to be taken aback as by the complexity of CRA. We are trying to make it digestible as much as possible. So contact us, ask for help. It's a great way to get started, and you are not alone. We and other projects, we are here to help you, and take that into consideration.
Thank you very much for attending, and see you again in about a week's time. And I see that there's just a question that came in.
Indeed.
Let's see.
Milos, do you provide help to CRA implementers? Would that be consultancy companies, for example, or legal companies, technical companies that implement CRA? Yes. I mean, help us in the way of technical consultancy. You have a lot of materials created by CRACY available. It can be a good base in order, for example, to provide the technical consultancy. Let's say that these are, after all, the materials that we based our assessments, and when we are developing the different use cases, this is the groundwork that has needed to be done prior to now involving ourselves in the process that we are, that is providing help to SMEs across Europe. So the same way that it is, for example, for us of use, it can also be or come handy for you also as a technical consultancy. It can be used and leveraged in order to provide help to your SMEs.
Yeah, and so yes, we can also provide some technical consultancy, Milos, but depending, of course, on what you mean specifically with technical consultancy, there can be technical consultancy on a legal basis, or more technical when it comes to implementation for security measures or the actual assessments. But for sure, if you have a case, in this case, as a CRA implementer, as you call it, happy to look into this.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. I don't see anything else. Okay.
Okay.
So with this, thank you all for attending, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Thank you again, Hector.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. Have a good day. Bye-bye.